Part 1. Have you ever stared at a task so simple and yet felt completely paralyzed? A text you needed to reply to, an email waiting to be answered, a dish sitting in the sink. It would take less than 2 minutes, but you didn't do it. Not because you couldn't, but because a part of you whispered, "It doesn't matter right now." And so it grew. That little undone thing became a symbol, a quiet weight on your shoulders, one moment of resistance multiplied. And soon, a mountain of small things became a wall between you and your day. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're human. And this is how procrastination begins. Not in huge acts of rebellion, but in tiny, quiet delays, tiny dismissals, tiny avoidances, until our momentum, our power, dissolves. But what if I told you that the way out is just as small? A rule so simple, it feels almost laughable. The 2-minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Not because it's urgent, not because it's life-changing, but because momentum is more powerful than motivation. This isn't a gimmick. It's a psychological key, and one that can unlock profound change. Because habits aren't formed by intensity, they're formed by identity. And with every small action, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. We begin this journey here with 2 minutes and a shift in how we see action itself. Part 2. Let's look closer. Why does something so small change so much? The 2-minute rule isn't just about getting things done. It's about waking up your system, flipping the switch from resistance to movement. You felt this before. You finally wash that dish. Then you wipe the counter. Then you put away the groceries. You weren't motivated. You just started. Because action creates momentum. And momentum is magnetic. It carries you. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, describes this perfectly. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. The 2-minute rule is a system trigger, a friction remover. It removes the activation energy that keeps you stuck. Your brain resists big tasks, but it doesn't resist starting. That's the key. If reading a book feels hard, commit to reading 1 page. If exercising feels overwhelming, commit to putting on your shoes. And once you're in motion, your brain shifts. Because here's the truth. Most procrastinators don't lack discipline. They lack activation. We think we need to feel inspired to act. But what if action itself is the inspiration? The 2-minute rule bypasses the drama. It tricks your mind into beginning. And once you begin, everything changes. Part 3. Let's go deeper. Because procrastination isn't just a time problem. It's an emotional problem. We delay not because we're lazy, but because we're afraid. Afraid of failure. Afraid it won't be perfect. Afraid of what it might say about us if we try and don't succeed. But the 2-minute rule creates a back door. It doesn't say, do the whole thing. It says, just begin. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to start anyway. And that start, no matter how small, begins to erode fear. Each time you take a micro action, you prove to your nervous system that effort is safe. And slowly, action becomes identity. Think of the person who flosses 1 tooth a night. Silly? No, because they're becoming someone who shows up. That's the magic. not in the task, but in who you become through doing it. You're not building habits. You're building trust with yourself. Every small win rewrites your story. I'm not a procrastinator. I'm someone who starts. So the next time your brain says, it's too much, just ask yourself, what's the 2-minute version of this? Then begin, gently, quietly, but consistently. Because in time, that's how you become unstoppable. Part 4. Now we move to the power of compounding. One action is powerful, but repeated action is transformational. This is where the 2-minute rule becomes something more than a strategy. It becomes a way of life. By doing small tasks immediately, you eliminate decision fatigue. You free mental space. You build a rhythm of execution. And that rhythm, that's where mastery lives. James Clear teaches that habits are like compound interest. Small improvements, repeated daily, don't just add up, they multiply. The truth is, most life-changing habits don't start as grand commitments. They begin as tiny shifts. 2 minutes of journaling, 2 minutes of meditation, 2 minutes of organization. But here's the twist. You rarely stop at 2 minutes. Because once you begin, you often continue. But even when you don't, you've succeeded because you've maintained the identity of someone who acts. And that's everything. You're casting votes every day. Votes for procrastination or votes for progress. And the good news? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep voting. Keep starting. Keep showing up. Let the check marks add up. Let your identity evolve. Because success doesn't come from intensity. It comes from consistency. Part 5. Let's come full circle. You started this video looking for a way to stop procrastinating. And now you understand. It was never about time. It was about movement. It was about the invisible power of beginning. You don't need a full plan. You don't need overwhelming motivation. You don't need to feel ready. You just need 2 minutes. 2 minutes to shift your state. 2 minutes to remind yourself of your agency. 2 minutes to cast a vote for who you are becoming. And yes, there will be days when the resistance feels heavy, when you feel like nothing is moving fast enough, when you question whether these little steps really matter. On those days, come back to this. Big changes are born from small beginnings. You're not behind. You are not lazy. You are a human being, learning to meet life with kindness and momentum. So take a breath, take the first 2 minutes, and let that be enough. Because sometimes, the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest leap of your life.